Welcome to the long-awaited, or at least, well, long-awaited for me, office tour. I personally love watching office tours as I scroll on YouTube. There's just something so unique about watching people explain their spaces and show you the intentionality behind their own personal spaces and how they've made them work for themselves. So in this video, I'm gonna walk you through the intention behind my office space. I'll give you a breakdown and kind of tour of the space and the different parts of the office itself. And then I'll also give you some tips to make this space creative for you. So let's get into it. All right, so welcome to the space. So before I jump into a tour of the space, I want to give you the tips on how to make your space best for you. And I think starting off is just keep it functional. So for me, this is my garage. My wife and I decided that we were going to transform this garage into our office because we never actually used it as a garage. So after we decided to do that, we had to do a lot of work to this thing, gutted it, redid the insulation, redid the electrical, redid windows and all that sort of stuff. But in that process, we were able to figure out, okay, how do we want this set up so that it works best for how we're gonna work? So things like the electrical, we made sure to put plugs where we knew the desk was gonna be and where we knew the gear station and stuff like that was gonna be. But we also had to make sure that while we were using this as an office, it remains still a garage so that when we move out, we can say we still have a garage. So things like leaving the garage door in and stuff like that. And then also we wanted to make sure that this was a space that we could both work in and chill and relax in and honestly use as a guest room as well. So a lot of intentionality went into designing the 4 different spaces of this office. So I'll walk you through those spaces here in a minute. But the second tip is to make it inspirational. So I knew that I was gonna spend a lot of time in this office. I wanted to make sure that I was inspired to work while here. And so throughout the office, you'll see things that kind of help my inspiration. Obviously the desk being here and really zeroing me in on the monitors and not having distraction around me is helpful. But then also having some other spaces where I can move and work in multiple spots is really, really helpful for that. And then finally, I wanted to make sure that this space was me, that it fit my vibe and my aesthetic, and I wasn't trying to copy anyone else. So that's why, you know, the walls are the color that they are, because I love this color. I feel like it looks really good in a space like this. And you'll see that there's a lot of things that go towards my passions and my loves, like photography, old cameras set up, a lot of national park themed stuff throughout the office. And so you'll kind of see that throughout this office. And I feel like everything in here points back to the things that I love. So all of that is important when you're creating your own space. But let's go ahead and start the tour with this first space, the workstation. So this is the current setup, but it's actually gonna be changing in like 2 or 3 weeks. I'm gonna change up the desk and everything. So stick around for that. I'm not gonna go into too much detail because of that, but to start, how we've currently set it up is I have 2 IKEA butcher blocks that are just on simple IKEA stand, table stands, whatever. And this has been a great setup. It gives me so much space. I love the look of the wood, but it's gonna be going away here shortly. Obviously the main focal point of this space is the computer and the monitor itself. My main workstation, I use a dual monitor setup. These are just some basic 4K Samsung monitors. They do the job that I need. That's kind of the theme of a lot of this stuff, is it does the job it needs to be. It's not the best stuff out there, but it does what I need it to do. I'm currently working off of a M1 Mac Mini that is definitely showing its age and needs to be replaced. But again, it does the job that needs to be done. When it comes to audio, because this is a space where I share it with my wife, that means that I'm not using big speakers. So most of the time I'm just using my Surface headphones. I've got a Rode podcast mic set up for video calls and things like that, and if I'm doing any voiceovers. And then I route that into the computer through my Elgato Wave XL. What I love about this space is everything in here is extremely functional. I made sure that it was a space that whatever I needed for work was all right here. So things like my Logitech console and the mouse, like all things that just make working quicker and easier for me, but also is very inspirational. So if I'm, getting tired of a project, I can look up and I see photos of the family and I see, things that bring me happiness. And that just helps me continue working and keeps me inspired and stuff like that. This second portion of the desk honestly just becomes catch-all. It never looks as good as it does right now. This is very much cleaned up. It's usually just random crap collecting here, which is not ideal, and I don't love it. So I love how it looks right now, but it will not stay like this. And then below the desk, I have my Synology 5-bay system. So this is what I use to back up all of my stuff. You'll see over on this side of the desk, there's also a couple of other hard drives that I use to be my first line of backup, and then the Synology is kind of like the second line of backup. Okay, so then the last spot of the workstation is just this little cabinet. There's not much to it. It's basically just a simple IKEA knockoff from Amazon. Drawers are completely unorganized and probably never will be organized. But what's really nice is just to have this right here. It becomes like my catch-all for my pocket dump whenever I walk in the office, charging up my battery and things like that. But super nice to have that right there. So moving into then the next space, which is the more chill space. So this is probably my favorite part of the office. This is where I spend my time in the morning before I get started with work. I make coffee and I read my Bible and just kind of relax in this space. And when we made this space, we wanted to make sure that we had a space for myself to relax in, for my wife to relax in. She doesn't really use it all that much. But then if I have some buddies over, we can hang out in here as well. So these chairs are, I don't know, from Amazon. They look good. They fit the vibe of the place, but they don't break the bank. So there's not much to them. I have to rep my St. Louis city, so got that there. One of my favorite things though about this space is I love having coffee table books. And so usually I've got a couple down below. I'll kind of swap them out and throw them up on the table. Right now, I've got this inaugural coffee table book. It's the inaugural season of St. Louis City's MLS season, and it's all street photography style photos that just look so cool. So I love that. Obviously, you got to have the fake plants, to make the space look homey. And then this candle, shout out to a buddy who created this company and creates some amazing candles from like all over. Love them, go check them out. But then over here, like I said, this is also our guest room. So we made sure we had a cabinet that we could hide all the bedding and stuff like that, as well as other random crap that I don't want sitting out. On this shelf, again, you get ties to the national park, some of my family stuff, some of the old cameras, and then this old, I don't even know, it was an old radio that a buddy converted, and it looks kind of ridiculous, but it sounds good, so I still have it. And then my daughter's desk, because there are plenty of times where she comes in and she wants to work in here with me. So we made sure that we had a space for her. She's got coloring stuff and some Paw Patrol toys down below. So yeah, it's nice to be able to have a space that's her space when she comes in here. But then the other big important area of the chill station is the bar. So I'm a big coffee guy, so I wanted to make sure I had a space in the office to make my coffee. So I've got my Fellow Stag EKG and my Chemex, which is my main go-to when it comes to making coffee. I've got all the coffee gear up here, as well as my bar stuff with a ton of different whiskeys for making old fashions and whatever else me and my buddies may want. But this is probably one of the most used spaces other than the desk. I'll make coffee once or twice a day. And yeah, it's super, super nice to not have to go back into the house to make my coffee, but to have all that here and ready to go. So then moving right along into the next area is of course the gear station. So this to me is a really important space because this is a space I have not had before. I've had an office in the basement where I literally just had to put all of my gear underneath my desk. And it just wasn't great. I didn't have a place to really charge batteries or display my gear or anything like that. So this is a big deal to finally have this set up. Starting off, I have a space for all of the bags. I, like every other videographer out there, have an obsession with camera bags. And so got a couple of those sitting out. I wanted to make sure that I had a space to display my camera gear, but it was also able to quickly access. So there's a few things missing right now because one is being used and one's over on the tripod. But I've got a couple of my cameras out. Again, these drawers are completely unorganized and never will be organized because I just don't do it. I know I need to, but I never get around to actually doing it. So those are all unorganized, but I know where everything is in there. So, but having a space right here to build my rigs and pack my bags has been so nice. To not have to like push stuff off the desk and do it, but instead to be able to have its own dedicated space has been great. And I almost forgot to mention, this is the Bohr drawer system and drawer shelving unit. I don't know if I'm saying that right. They're from IKEA. A lot of IKEA stuff in the office because it does the job well, and again, it's fairly well priced. So, but this shelving unit was also really important. Down below, I've got space for Pelican cases, light cases, random video stuff, old home videos that still need to get digitized up here. But this area is the important area because finally I have a space where I can charge all of my gear easily. Can come in, unload all the stuff at this space, and then just start charging gear. It's been so nice to have that set up. And then the further back you go is the big stuff. So I've got my live stream rig down here, tripods, C-stands, mobile desk, all sorts of different stuff. But what's super nice about having this space here is that we can actually open up the garage door, pull the truck right up, load it up, close the door. No more having to like haul stuff up from the basement or store stuff in an off-site location. So that's been super, super great. And then moving into the final space. So this is the YouTube space. So this is where I'll film most of my videos. Again, we just have a simple IKEA desk and IKEA chair. Not much to them, but they work well for what we wanted this space to be. We didn't need this to be anything elaborate. It just needed to be a space where we could film videos. But then also, when I'm not filming videos, this is a space where my wife will sit down and do her work. So super nice to have this as a flexible area. When it comes to filming videos, I've got these full-time filmmaker lights that kind of just give a nice background light. We'll use the Amaran 200X as our key light. And then I've got my Sony set up on a tripod, boom mic, and then I'll always have a C-stand set up here if I need to do like a top-down shot or anything like that. What I really like is that this can be set up for a video. So whenever I need to, I can just start recording. And that's super, super handy. I don't have to waste time setting stuff up like I did in my old office. So that's it. That is the office space. Like I said, I'm so glad to finally have my own space that does the job I need it to do. But I do want to say, I think that when it comes to videos like these, I think you can watch these videos and you can be inspired by them or you can be deterred by them. You can be a little put out because it's like, oh, I don't have a space like that, or I don't have a space that I can turn into an office. And to that I say, neither did I for the longest time. This was something that took me a long time to actually get to the point of being able to have an office space. I've worked in spare bedrooms, I've worked in a corner of the basement. And so to finally have my own space, it means that I put in a lot of work to get to this point. And so for anyone watching this and you're like, you want to have your own office space, hopefully that time will come for you. Even if you're not there right now, you don't necessarily need a full office like this to do the work or to make YouTube videos or anything like that. And same goes with the gear. I mean, all this gear that I've kind of talked about is stuff that I've acquired over the past 7 years of working in this career. So stuff like this and the space, it all comes with time. So let that be an encouragement. If you're watching this, you're one of those people who are like, yeah, that's cool, but I can't do that. You can, it just may take some time, and that's totally okay. So that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you're not already. I'm gonna link everything that I mentioned down below. So if there are things that you like and you're like, oh, I'd like to pick that up, use those links down below. They're affiliate links. I'd greatly appreciate it. If you have any questions about anything, let me know. Love to answer it. So we'll see you guys in the next one.